Today, I am going to discuss my current pagan worldview and philosophy. I might change my mind on some things in the future, but this is how I currently view things. I have stated on this channel that I am a Hellenic pagan, but this is not entirely true. I am an eclectic pagan. Eclectic paganism is a blending of beliefs, rituals, deities, philosophies, and traditions. I used to be a Germanic pagan because I am ethnically German. However, I did not feel much of a connection with most of the Germanic gods. I only venerate gods that I feel a connection with. Odin and Thor were the only real exceptions for me. I feel more of a pull with the Greek gods and some of the Shinto gods. This is why I have labeled myself as a Hellenic pagan. There are several ways that people can view the gods. They can be viewed as archetypes, energy, physical beings, your ancestors, and they can also be viewed as being part of yourself. I do not care how people view the gods, but I personally view them as living energy. They are energy with a name and story attached to them. If you invoke a god, then you are invoking the living energy that is associated with that god. This is how I view things. I live in the US, and most of the gods that I venerate are not native to the US. They are native to Europe and Asia. This is problematic if you are trying to do things from an historical point of view, because many gods have their own territory. They have their own turf. This could be a river, mountain, temple, grove, or something else entirely. This is where their energy is the strongest. The further away you are from their home turf, the weaker their energy gets. If you want to look at things from a biblical perspective, then gods had very little power when they were on another god's turf. This does not mean that they were powerless, but they were weaker. A god that invaded another god's territory was facing an uphill battle. But there is always an exception, and the exception in this case are spatial gods. Spatial gods are deities, celestial entities, or a philosophical concept that embodies, controls, or transcends the physical dimensions of space. This is one of the main reasons why I am drawn to the Hellenic and Shinto pantheons. Both pantheons have many spatial gods, and spatial gods can be everywhere. They can also have different archetypes. There are wind and fire spatial gods. Native American gods dominate the US, and their energy is what thrives here. So, I decided years ago that I would only venerate spatial gods, because it's the only thing that makes sense to me. There is one thing you must do if you are new to paganism or still figuring things out, and that is deciding whether you believe the universe is eternal or not. There are different paths to take depending on your conclusion. There is no right or wrong answer for this, though. I personally believe that the universe is eternal. This puts me in league with the Stoics, Aristotle, Heraclitus, and Taoism. After doing a fair bit of research over the past few years, I decided to adopt Taoism as my main pagan framework. Why? Because Taoism works incredibly well with my views on the gods being energy. The Tao is eternal, and everything else comes from it. The Tao created the sky gods. The Tao created all the other gods below the sky gods. Taoism also aligns with a lot of my political views. I strongly believe in freedom, but I also go with the flow most of the time. There are very few things that bother me at my core, which shouldn't surprise anybody since I'm a nerd and degenerate. I also love fox gods, and they are deeply associated with Taoism. Fox gods can be spatial gods. If I lived in Europe, then I would probably venerate different types of Western gods. Currently, I only venerate Odin, Hestia, Hermes, and Inari. Hestia protects the inside of the home, Inari protects the outside of the home, and can help you with gaining prosperity. Hermes can protect you while traveling, and Odin is helpful when it comes to wisdom, insight, and pretty much everything else. I have a video on my channel stating that one of the reasons why I left Christianity was due to how syncretic the Christian God is. If I have an issue with how syncretic Yahweh or Jesus is, then how can I be an eclectic pagan? Eclectic paganism is syncretism. This might come off as being hypocritical, but it makes sense. Because I do not view the gods as being physical entities. I view them as living energy. Syncretism, in this sense, makes the gods more powerful. If you are fusing multiple energies together, then they should be more powerful. Syncretism in the Abrahamic religions isn't fusing energies together, it's fusing multiple gods together that people view as being physical beings. This type of syncretism is creating a Frankenstein. The Abrahamic religions view the gods as being real, and in most cases, physical beings. When you fuse Yahweh, Dionysus, Baal, Inanna, Ishtar, Asherah, Ma'at, El, and dozens of other gods together to create the all-powerful version of Yahweh in the Bible, this would be more like a horror story from the Full Metal Alchemist universe, at least in my opinion. I am a practical pagan. I do not care about witchcraft or sorcery. I do not venerate or invoke the gods for unreasonable requests. I do think demons are a thing, but they aren't necessarily in this dimension. But this should go without saying, since I have adopted Taoism. I have a red brain because I care about America's national security. I also care about law and order and freedom. Some of these things might be associated with having a blue brain, but I do not view it this way. The modern blue brain and red brain tend to be authoritarian. This is why I view myself as existing in a bubble outside of the political spectrum. I do not care how other people view the gods. I don't care what religion people follow, but I do have issues with Abrahamic theology. I also don't care about superficial crap. You do you. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic day or night.